In today's video, I'm going to be making upper cabinets, like these ones. Wait a minute, they're already done. That's what happens when you forget to record the intro before you start. So, let's go back in time, and let's make these cabinets here on Smedley Wood Design. To start this build, I'm going to break down the material. Now, I found this wood-grained melamine in the scratch and dent section of Menards, and it already had one edge banded. So I'm going to keep that edge for the shelving, so I don't have to do anything to dress that edge up. It'll be already done. So I usually don't bark my material after I cut it, but after watching one of the episodes on Fix This, Build That, I decided to give it a shot, and I'm glad I did, because it really helps out when I was putting this material on the CNC. I knew which side was right and which side was left, just making it a lot easier and not confusing myself, so I cut too many of one side. So I did cut the sides on the CNC, making it a lot faster to do the dados and the shelf pins. All right, I've got all the cabinets cut out for the center upper cabinet. Now I've got this bottom piece, and you're probably wondering, what are these cutouts for? They are actually for electrical boxes. I have a strip of power boxes that's charging my batteries now. I'll show you that in a second. But these cutouts are perfect size for these outlet boxes. So they'll be on the underside of the cabinet down here. And I'll mount the chargers under here so they're out of the way. And then on the side, up on these parts right here, I'll have battery storage after the batteries are charged. So this bottom portion right here, I'm gonna paint. Inside of this cabinet, up here I'm gonna keep this cherry looking color, but down here I'm gonna paint. So I'm gonna sand through this and get it prepped and ready for paint. So I'm putting a base coat of white Kills underneath. Just to block anything coming up from underneath, fading through the color. The color I'm going to paint these after the white is the color of my logo, which is a green color. And if you'll notice on those dividers and on the edge of the shelves, I taped it off with blue tape, just so when I glue these together, it's got a good glue surface. All right, I've got all the pieces painted that I want to have painted so I can start the assembly process. But during the assembly process, I need to install the electrical boxes for the charging station. So what I need to do is come over here and disassemble my old charging station. So I'll get started with that now. All right, so here's my old charging station. I've got screws mounted in here so that it'll accept the hole locations for the chargers. And all I did was I made it out of electrical boxes into the bottom. So I'm just gonna disconnect all this, transfer everything over to the new bottom of the cabinet, which is this. And I'm gonna put the screw locations underneath here for the chargers. All right. I'm going to install these on the bottom so they can access them for the chargers. All right, well, I'm gonna close the video down and finish these off, and then I'll get back, turn the video back on once I start assembling the cabinet. To start the assembly of the cabinet, I got to start in the center section where I've got all the different dividers that will be glued in there. If you'll notice, I added another outlet to one of these inner divider pieces. That way, one of the cubbies can have a charger that does not have a way to attach to the underside of the cabinet. I did decide to use glue and screws to attach all the pieces together inside the dados. I just figured that shop furniture and having a lot of weight in these cabinets and on top, that would be the best option. So I'm going to stick a false back in here, so it'll cover up all this, and I'll screw it into these sides so I can take it out if I need to. This top shelf is going to be the power supply to the LED lights that are going to follow underneath here. And then this is of course for the charging station for the cordless batteries. So I'm going to continue with using glue and screws to attach the sides to the center section. I don't have to worry about how ugly it'll look because the sides will never be seen. I messed up. I forgot to cut the access hole for the outlet in the back panel. Alright, I guess I'm gonna have to figure out how to cut that while it's all put together. So this would have been easier to do this before I installed it, but just with a couple little holes and using a jigsaw, I was able to cut that out for the outlet that's on the wall. Not too hard. All right, I fixed it by adding a hole. All right, so my next step is, the way I'm gonna hang this on the wall is I'm gonna do a French cleat style. So I'm gonna do a French cleat up top, and then I'm just gonna do a normal cleat on the bottom that I'll just screw right into the wall. I think that'll make it easier to hang the cabinet if I can just lift it up there and drop it on the French cleat. So I've got some 1/2 inch material cut up. I just need to put a bevel on it for the French cleat style. I've got 2 more cabinets to assemble. These 2 cabinets will go on either side of the center cabinet. There's nothing special about these, just cabinets. The next step is to create the face frames. So I'm using poplar for the face frames. For this cabinet, I am going to have to do it kind of different than I normally do. Normally I'd cut all the pieces out and assemble it, but this one, since it's got this funky cutout on the bottom shelf, I have to kind of piece it together as I go. I'm able to do the top section pretty easily, but as you'll see in the video, it's a little more a lot of cuts going around that section. So I'm going to use a pocket hole jig to create the connection points for these face frames. I've had this little jig for several years now, and it works pretty good, but I've seen a lot of videos of different pocket hole jigs out there. Leave a comment in the section below. What kind of pocket hole jig do you like? Which ones are you using? Which ones do you think are the best? I'm thinking of upgrading to something a little better.
Alright, I'm working on the face frames. I got this first one kind of partway done. The reason I got it partway is because I got to cut miters through here. And the face frames I have at 1 inch thick. The reason I did that are two reasons. First of all, the material I got was 1 1/8" when I first got it, and I didn't really want to plane it down to 3/4 of an inch. And the other reason is I am going to embed an LED strip right in the edge of this facing down. A couple reasons why I'm doing that is I've done this before in the past where I put LED lights below the face frame down on this part, and it doesn't light the whole countertop. The face frame that hangs down kind of prevents that. So by embedding it and having it flush with the surface, it should be able to cast light down on the countertop with no problem.
So to create that pocket for the LED lights, I'm using my router. You can use the table saw for this, but I figured a 1/2 inch router bit with one pass would work just fine for creating that slot. So it does take a lot of time to create all these different sections of the face frame, but as you'll see when it comes together, it actually looks really nice having that front pop out and having the face frame follow that. It's looking really good. I like it so far. So to attach this top piece, I'm using nails and glue. The nails be hidden with the paint after I putty them and sand them. You won't even know that they're there.
Before I screw and glue this face frame onto the cabinet, I need to slot this out so it matches the groove that I made there. That way the LED lighting can go all the way to the end with the electrical cord poking out the side. So I'm gonna do that on the table saw now.
To attach the face frame to the cabinet, I'm using pocket hole screws. Normally, for normal kitchen cabinets, I would actually use clamps and glue so that there's no visible fasteners. So I need to create a little recess here for the wiring to go from cabinet to cabinet.
Alright, so this is what's going to hold the chargers for the batteries. I'm going to go ahead and put some screws in to hold it in place. I'll sand that up so it doesn't look so bad.
So I'm going to notch the top of the cabinets out for the French cleat, so I can just have one cleat going the whole length of the cabinet section. Just adding now the paint to the cabinets is the same color as my logo. This is why I like the French cleat system. This works so nicely to hang cabinets up. Normally you'd have a box underneath that you'd prop the cabinet on, but this you just lift it up, drop it down, and it hangs there while you can secure it and attach the other cabinets. And with those tops notched out on the sides of the cabinets, I can just lift it up there, put it up, and then just slide it to where I want it.
So we gotta lift it high enough to get it over that cleat. See how it's sitting on that French cleat? So we just need to get it high enough. You lift right up here.
Yeah, where do you want?
In a minute we're gonna lift just lift.
So I made this really tight. I should have probably given myself another half of an inch, but it was barely in there, and then it just had to push it right in. It's a tight fit, but it worked great. Finish off these outlets, just adding up the covers makes it give it that finishing touch. And this is unintended, but having this piece underneath to attach the chargers to leaves a pocket for the electrical wires to tuck into. Alright, and here's that false panel that covers up all the electrical finishing off, making it look really nice.
I don't know if that's the best utilization of space, but I'll leave it there for now and see how it goes. I still got 2 other cabinets to fill up with different things, so we'll see what happens. All right, that brings us to the end of this video. I've got the cabinets installed. I've got storage up top for my bins. I've got the LED lights installed, hooked up to a switch so I can turn them on and off easy. And I've got the Ryobi battery chargers hanging underneath, plugged into the outlets that I installed underneath. The next step is to make doors for these cabinets. And in order to do that, I want to use my router tables, but I don't like how they're sitting up here, hanging from the ceiling. I always feel like when I'm going to pull them down that they're gonna fall on me. So what I want to do is reconstruct these into a folding router table that hangs off the edge of my outfeed table for my table saw. Here, let me swing this around and show you. All right, so the idea is to create a folding table, router table on both sides. The reason I like to do 2 router tables when doing stiles and rails for cabinet doors is I like to dial both of them in at the same time and then run both the stiles and rails through. This makes it easy. I like it that way. So the idea is I'll create all new parts going down that will create the folding mechanism for these router tables, and I'm going to utilize the CNC to do that. This will be a lot easier with the CNC than trying to cut all the parts by hand. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you know when that video is available. All right, I hope to see you then. We'll see you.